through the 80s, quite a Caribbean area. A lot of African Caribbeans lived there. It still is a very black area, and quite mixed, of course, like most of London. Has had a reputation for being very violent, but that has receded greatly in the last few years.
Thank you both so much. First then, British actor Sir Patrick Stewart's new memoir traces his journey from a working-class Yorkshire childhood in the north of England to the glamorous heights of Hollywood. Patrick got a scholarship to study theatre when he was a teenager and has never looked back. He's now regarded as one of the world's greatest Shakespearean actors. For many people, though, it's his role as Captain Jean-Luc Picard in the long-running TV series Star Trek: The Next Generation that's most familiar with his famous catchphrase, "Make it so," which is also the name of his memoir. This breakout role came late in Patrick Stewart's career, and when the BBC's Samira Ahmed met him, she asked him what that transition from stage to TV sci-fi was like.
From the very beginning of filming Star Trek, and I wasn't a fan of sci-fi, but I know that having had a lot of experience of Shakespeare, with long speeches and long two-handed scenes, that I could attach that to the work I was doing on this sci-fi TV show in Hollywood. There were overlaps. Though when I started watching the first 2 seasons, before I began writing about it, I was very uncomfortable with the quality of my work in season 1. It was too stagey, too theatrical, too big, and, I hardly ever smiled or said anything gently, which became an absolute cornerstone of Picard's nature. But later on, I could relax. And this was thanks to the other actors I was working with, who were much more comfortable with television than I was. They showed me a way to keep it conversational and intimate. There is a famous Star Trek story about me calling a meeting one day of the whole cast. Brent Spiner, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, all these other leading actors from the bridge of the Enterprise. And I said, look, I've got to tell you, I think there's too much fooling around going on the set. We're wasting time, and I think we ought to just focus on the work. Remember, I said, there are stage crew here who never get breaks like we do, and we have to respect them. And there was this silence in the room, and I didn't understand that. And then one of the actors said, but Patrick, we've got to have some fun. And I hit the table with my fist and said, we are not here to have fun. Can you believe that? An actor talking like that to his friends. By the end of season 2, I had become notorious for fooling around on the set. And I even was the one who insisted. Okay, I called another meeting and they all rolled their eyes. And I said, each one of us has to be responsible for 2 big laughs every day. And I discovered that it was possible to enjoy the work, to have fun, to embrace your fellow actors and do high-quality work.
Actor Patrick Stewart. My guests on today's Arts Hour are actor Patterson Joseph and the critic Guy Lodge. Patterson, how do you tread that line of maintaining discipline but having fun on a set?
Oh, no, I laugh all the time. I used to be terribly serious about myself and everything. I wouldn't have believed it now.
Really?
I think, yeah, no, I don't. No, you're looking at me now like.
Were you precious?
I was a little bit precious.
Okay.
I think I meant it. I was proper Stanislavski, the great Russian acting teacher from the turn of the 20th century. I was very keen on being a serious actor. So finding fun was a revolution, and I'm really glad I did, because as the great Baz Luhrmann once said to me, he said, it's a play, so play.
Guy, in the world of movies, there are certain directors who create that much stricter on-set environment. Can it sometimes make for a better film? Do you have examples of directors who are notorious for that?
I think it all depends on the kind of director and the film they're trying to create. Like Christopher Nolan is famous for having, very, very strict on-set rules. No phones, no distractions, everyone kind of on point. Whereas, the other, filmmakers who are, famous for having a much more kind of free, slightly anarchic, improvisatory style, and the films that come out of them feel kind of right for their voice and their style. And someone like even David O. Russell, who makes very wild, out of control comedies. He's famous for having really, really out of control sets, sometimes violently so.
Yes, there's evidence of that.
Exactly.
What, people being violent towards each other? Or?
Him being violent towards his actors.
No, see, I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all. I don't think that's necessary. Like, you know, when those directors who want, I want reality. Well, there is also acting. It's like that's what we've learnt to do, is pretend to be all these people. You don't actually have to go through a trauma.
Thank you both so much. You're with the BBC World Service and this is The Arts Hour. Jamaican poet, memoirist and writer Safia Sinclair was born and raised in Montego Bay. Her latest book, How to Say Babylon, charts Safia's journey breaking free from her strict Rastafarian upbringing and taking in how literature and poetry changed the trajectory of her life. When Safia joined the BBC's Cerys Matthews, she explained the significance of Babylon in Rastafari culture.
For the Rastafari, Babylon represents everything that they are against or everything they feel is oppressive to them, right? So everything tied to systemic racism, colonialism, capitalism, Western ideology, everything they call ism and schism, they call Babylon.
So was it easy then for you to go out into Babylon and forge your trail like you're doing now?
It wasn't always easy, particularly when I lived in Jamaica and I was a young girl and, I had my dreadlocks. When my siblings and I went outside of our house, we weren't treated very well because the Rastafari in Jamaica are actually a minority. It's 1% or less of the Jamaican population, which most people don't know.
Yeah.
And so my siblings and I were the only Rasta children at our school. We were the only Rasta children when we walked on the street. When we went to the beach, we were the only Rasta children. So that came with, that was kind of a trial, a lot of trials and tribulations and a lot of teasing, taunting, a lot of disdain from our teachers. We felt outcast pretty early on, every time we left the house.
How does poetry sit within the Rastafari upbringing that you had? Were you encouraged?
It's not particularly a part of Rastafari tradition, but it was part of our family tradition because my mother was such a big lover of poetry and literature, and she always had me and my siblings memorize and recite poems as part of our education with her. She built her own curriculum for us, so we had classes with her and lessons with her after school and on the weekends, and that involved writing our own songs and memorizing poems, and eventually I began to write my own poems. One of the first poems that I'd read that really called to my 10-year-old spirit was this poem called The Tiger by William Blake. And so I wrote my own ode to that poem, but my poem was called The Butterfly.
Safia Sinclair, my guests on today's Arts Hour are film critic and writer Guy Lodge and actor and writer Patterson Joseph. Patterson, was poetry a big part of your childhood?
No, and I had always been a bit afraid of it because I thought it was things only smart people could understand. And it was a sort of very simple poem that I could get my head around that, and limericks. But actual poetry felt like, I need a degree to understand that.
Am I right, though, that you only spoke Creole until you were about 3 years old?
Yeah, I mean, the household language was Creole. St. Lucia is where my parents are from, which was a British colony until about 1978. And they came in the late 50s. And we were a lot of kids. We were 6 kids, all within a very close age range. And we lived above a shop, so there was very few, on a high road, so there was very, very little socialising except with each other. And it was only when I was about 33 when my sister told me, oh yeah, remember when Mum stopped speaking Creole to us? And I was like, I don't remember that, but I do remember running after her pre-school and saying, Mum, how do you say table in Creole? Mum, how do you say fridge in Creole? And her sort of getting irritated with me and me stopping asking her. So there was obviously a language shift. My son is bilingual, so I know what that's like.
What does he speak?
He's French, so it's French
right.
and English. But we did that from the womb. It's like one parent, one language from the womb. And that's fine because he could metabolize the 2 languages. Whereas when your language at home is not spoken outside, it can get very tricky.
Do you remember rhymes in Creole that you spoke?
No,
No.
I don't remember anything. I knew when I was in any sort of trouble because of the tone, even if I didn't understand all the words. And then my mum's exclamations, which I always loved, her favourite was "Eh bien, bon Dieu, la Sainte Vierge," which I only knew as phonetics. And then when I learnt French, I realised, oh, she's saying, "Oh dear God and the Holy Virgin, eh bien, bon Dieu, et la Sainte Vierge," the Sainte Vierge, the Holy Virgin.
Oh, wow.
So I loved that. Mum would just come out with all these sort of phrases that you just hear as music.
Yes.
But they're not. We didn't understand them until much later.
I think you should write a whole film set in that house with 6 children.
That's entirely possible. It was quite a wild setting.
That'd
Yeah.
be beautiful, rich. So Sophia said that the tiger appealed to her 10-year-old self. Any poems or books that really captured your imagination, Guy, as a child of that age, growing up in South Africa maybe?
Well, it's interesting because growing up in South Africa, especially at school with kind of what we studied, there was kind of a quota. They had to have, so much South African literature in the syllabus and so much international literature. But to us, it was all kind of part of the same canon. So we used to read in Afrikaans, for example, and also in translation in English, would read poems by a wonderful, wonderful poet and novelist called Marlene van der Kerk, who I do think is actually one of the great writers in any language. We'd read kind of folk tales by Herman Charles Bosman, who's absolutely iconic in South Africa. They're kind of written in the early 20th century. They're kind of humorous fables sort of set in sort of small town community. And they're kind of, they're as embedded in South African culture as like Aesop's fables or something. And then again, I sort of assumed those were just a standard reference, and then you gradually realise that it's highly specialised, which is it's so interesting to me, kind of coming out of that into a more kind of general canon.
Thank you both so much. You're with the BBC World Service. I'm Nikki Beattie, and this is the Arts Hour. How do you honour lasagna on screen? That is one of the questions that Chef Courtney McBroom had to consider when she was brought onto the new Apple TV Plus series Lessons in Chemistry as the culinary consultant. The show is adapted from the much-lauded novel by Bonnie Garmus about a frustrated scientist turned television cook in 1950s America who's blocked at every turn by the sexism of her colleagues. In the show, she's played by the superb Oscar-winning actor Brie Larson, who specifically requested Courtney's culinary experience, as Courtney McBroom told the BBC's Tom Sutcliffe.
Brie's a good friend of mine, and she reached out early on and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this show. It's about a chef in the 50s. She knows I love vintage cooking." So I got the book immediately, read it in one day, loved it so much. I was laughing, I was crying, and knew immediately that I definitely wanted to work on the show if they would have me.
Your credit is culinary consultant. What are they consulting you about?
Everything food related on the show. So I worked with the writers a lot, talking about like what were maybe some of the storylines, how could we use food to help tell the story of Elizabeth Sott even more so than was in the book. Working with Brie, I talked her through a lot of the action of like the cooking scenes. I also, on the really close-up scenes, it's actually my hands cooking.
You're doing the chopping, are you? And
Yeah.
Presto soups. Cook so quick, it's done in a presto.
It's my line.
It is a real time saver. And that's because it's full of chemicals. And not the good kind.
There will be a surprise indeed. Feed enough of it to your loved ones and they'll die off, saving you tons of time because you won't have to feed them anymore. Today, we will be making a fan favorite, lasagna, but we will be testing a new variable.
the novel dictates some of the food, doesn't it? Lasagna is very important in the book.
Yeah.
But how much of the other food did it sort of dictate itself?
Like the really big ones, we definitely left, like the chicken pot pie. That was the big one in the book and also in the show. But lasagna was the real big one, and we wanted to make sure we honored lasagna the way it needed to be. And I think we really did that. Lasagna, I made so much lasagna. I lost count eventually. I was like, I can't keep track of this.
It's very interesting. When she finally gets her own television show, the food becomes much closer to 1950s food. You get a Crown roast of lamb, complete with its little chef's hat.
We wanted it to all look pretty. So we were playing around with like, we really wanted to do like a pot roast because that's so 1950s, but it's like, well, that's not gonna like jump off the screen necessarily. It's just gonna be like a blob of brown. So we're like, well, what if we got these like fresh greens on top of it and like put little tiny things here and there so it's like really colorful and really beautiful. And I want everyone to be really hungry when they watch the show. That's how you know you've succeeded as a food consultant. And, you know, that's one of the things that I really focused on with lessons in chemistry is, yes, I wanted it to look good, but I also wanted it to taste good because at the end of the day, the actors are eating it on screen.
Food consultant Courtney McBroom and Lessons in Chemistry is available to stream on Apple TV+. Well, I think the first 5 episodes anyway. Patterson, you began your working life stirring great vats of porridge with an oar at the Royal Free Hospital in London. Were you ever planning on becoming a chef?
Yeah, I was working for the Royal Free for about a year, and as I said, stirring these huge vats of porridge and mincemeat to make shepherd's pie.
Oh,
With the oars, you know. It's like, this isn't fine catering. I'm never going to get anywhere. So I popped off to a youth theatre, and that was the end of me.
favourite examples of food on screen. Can I start, please? May I start? The Bear. The new TV series, The Bear, seasons 1 and 2. I have loved watching the food being prepared and all the family dynamics. And I have also loved Meryl Streep playing Julia Childs in the movie version of Julia, and then our British actress, Sarah Lancashire, playing her as well. Guy, you can go next.
I really love the film Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, about a dad who's a kind of expert Taiwanese chef and his 3 daughters who kind of all bond over food and over meal times, and it's just such a kind of lovely family story, but also just the food is mouth-watering, like the best dim sum kind of banquet you have ever seen.
So you were salivating.
Yeah, and then there's a new one actually coming up called The Taste of Things. It's French, but it's from the Vietnamese director Tran Anh Hung, and it's got Juliette Binoche and Benoit Magimel as 2 chefs in kind of early 20th century rural France who basically seduce each other via cooking. It's the kind of film where they spend 40 minutes just kind of showing how they make a vol au vent. It's incredible.
I will be salivating. Patterson, what about you? Food on screen.
I hark back to a really visceral reaction as a kid to, and it sounds awful, but the gruel in the Lionel Bart Oliver movie. Just the thought of that sickly, weak porridge was so visceral to me. I still recall it today. And then when they sing about food, glorious food, my mouth waters. And it was like the disgust of the gruel followed by my mouth watering. I still sort of remember it.
That's a really good example.
Yeah.
So culinary coordinator or consultant on a movie is quite niche. Guy, I want to ask you, behind the scenes in TV and cinema, what are a couple of other niche jobs that people might not necessarily know about?
I always have to sit through the credits of every film I review. For variety, we have to time it because the given running time isn't always correct.
I didn't ever think. Oh,
fun
wow.
Fact. So I always kind of read through the credits, and I love some of the weird kind of jobs that you've never thought about that come up. There was a film, Everest, a couple of years ago, that big adventure film, and there was a credit in it for yak wrangler.
I love it.
I think every film should have a yak wrangler, and like wig handler as well. I just love just that combination of words.
I love it too. Patterson, what about the most important person behind the scenes in theatre?
Stage manager, I think. A good stage manager is like having air traffic control with you at all times, so that whatever situation occurs, and every night something occurs, they're just able to go, we'll just do this, or you'll come out from that entrance, or I'll let so and so know that they're not going to be coming on for this scene. And I love their calm and their efficiency. They're like parents.
Well, that's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah, they are like good parents.
Thank you both. That's it for part 1 of the show. Don't go away, still to come. Paul McCartney on the last Beatles track, actor Julia Fox on her best-selling memoir, and I'll be talking to actor Patterson Joseph about his starring role in the new TV thriller, which is also very funny, Boat Story. The Arts Hour's back after this.
This is the BBC World Service, looking into changing attitudes to disability.
Disabled people were not expected to be seen out of doors.
The parents of other children, they did not like their children to play with a disabled child.
Things have improved a lot for disabled people in many parts of the world, but there are still some shockingly bad practices, and the fight against prejudice and discrimination is far from over.
The overriding reaction from people was one of pity.
I'm Tanny Gray-Thompson. I'll be asking, what still needs to be done to achieve real equality?
Public spaces, quite a number of them, do not have ramps.
We have to give them 48 hours notice that we want to catch a train.
People will always underestimate your capacity.
Tanny's Lifetime Road to Disabled Equality. Saturday at 12 GMT.
Still to come on the Arts Hour with me, Nikki Beattie, Sir Paul McCartney on the new AI-aided Beatles single, Hollywood actor Julia Fox on her best-selling memoir Down the Drain.
Sometimes it's nice to just relinquish power. It felt like a relief in the beginning, like, oh, finally someone else can take the reins, but it became unsustainable.
And I talked to actor Patterson Joseph about his role in the highly original TV series Boat Story. All that and more coming up on the Arts Hour.
BBC News with Emily Thomas. The United States and Britain have appealed to Israel's military to show restraint around the largest hospital in Gaza. President Biden said Al-Shifa should be protected. The British Prime Minister said too many civilians were dying. Neither Washington nor London has called for a ceasefire. Palestinian health officials say the latest Israeli raids in the occupied West Bank have killed at least 8 Palestinians. Large numbers of military vehicles, including armoured bulldozers, were seen entering a refugee camp in the town of Tulkarem. The Israeli military has confirmed the death of a 19-year-old woman who was kidnapped by Hamas on October the 7th. On Monday, Hamas released a video which showed Noah Marciano in captivity reading a message. It was followed by images of the body of a young woman. Hamas said she'd been killed in an airstrike. Voting is taking place in Liberia in a presidential runoff election. Liberians are choosing between the former Starr footballer George Weah, who's trying to secure a second term in office, and the former Vice President Joseph Boakai. A rights group say the Cambodian government is evicting thousands of people living near the UNESCO World Heritage Temple Complex Angkor Wat. A report by Amnesty International says officials are using threats and intimidation to force families to move to ill-prepared relocation sites. Rescue teams in northern India are working for a third day to save 40 men who've been trapped in a collapsed tunnel since Sunday. The construction workers are all said to be unharmed. Scientists in Iceland have warned that magma appears to be moving closer to the surface near a town that's been struck by thousands of earthquakes. There are growing fears of a major volcanic eruption around Grindavik. About 4,000 residents were ordered to leave late on Friday. That was the latest world news from the BBC.
Welcome back to the Arts Hour on the BBC World Service with me, Nikki Beattie.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from Sendwave. Sendwave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With Sendwave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, Sendwave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use Sendwave? Sendwave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property
This is
Hour
Starr
Show
Radio
is the best source
UK.
into the property industry.
Live online. Turn it on. Turn it up.
Show them you got the Coco set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. We're here. We they call them London. And I sabi you know, just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio
UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome.
broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make the doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday.
Okay, and that is how I say a massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Tuesday edition of the morning show. The time now 10:46 from the House of London. Today is the 14th day of November, the year 2023. And let me say a massive good morning and welcome to the program once again. But let me say morning to my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, wherever you are. Good morning to you. He'll be bringing you all the updates that you need to know from our North London studios. And at times he goes on running around the town so that he can show you what is happening around there. So you might not know. It might surprise you this morning once again. And let me say a massive good morning to my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi. My apologies, my producer for the program, Mr. Francis Guy. Just bear with him. He's still trying to find out what the source of that noise is. But whatever it is, massive good morning to you. And let me say morning once again to Bishop Adeshina, Anthony Adedeji, Aziz, Shamsuddin, Rachel, and all you wonderful people who tune in to listen to us each day. We salute each and every one of you and we say welcome to the program. Felix, all the way in Aberdeen, massive good morning to you. Mr. Frank Davis, good morning to you. KB Bossman, good morning. Vicky Newton, good morning to you. Priscilla! Priscilla is going to be joining us pretty soon. She's going to be bringing us a health program. She's a doctor. Yes, she'll be Dr. Priscilla. Priscilla, I've forgotten the other name, but I know her surname is Hammond as well. So she's going to be joining us and be bringing us a health program, health and well-being. Okay, no. If it's the first time of tuning in on a Tuesday morning to listen to us on the Starr Radio UK Morning Show, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring the code to the day, the weather forecast to follow suit, then the travel update as well. Then we'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. That is known as global trotting. At 11 o'clock, Olayomi Koiki will be bringing you updates from Nigeria.
Jesus.
Then at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. We continue from there till 12:30 when the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. And then this afternoon, we're going to be having BB Clement coming your way with BB May's Business at 1:30 p.m. So that's what's going to happen. But wherever you are, I say a massive good morning. As Yomi is also saying good morning to every one of you and those of you on other platforms as well. As I did say, just bear with us with that noise in the background. We're trying to isolate, so we're doing lots of isolations there, but we still not found the culprits. But we'll be finding it pretty soon. I promise you that for sure. Okay, now. So when it comes to the quote for the day, he says the secret to building a sound relationship is not found in getting people to treat you in a certain way, but looking objectively at the way they tend to treat you and learning from your findings. That's quite an interesting one, right?
Lord, great are you, Lord. This I celebrate.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes you.
And once again, let me say good morning to Sam Sudi. I hope you are doing very, very, very well. Yes, he says, God bless you, Yoruba Nation. God bless every one of you. We want Yoruba Nation, and God bless me. God bless you, sir, and God bless you, Shamsuddin. Okay, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages, even as we go on to look at some of the other bits of the program as well. And this time around, we're moving on straight to the weather front. So on the weather front this morning, I can tell you closely that it's going to be turning cloudier in the early afternoon with some scattered showers developing. However, these will soon clear to leave it dry with late sunshine and breeze. This evening will turn dry and increasingly clear. Overnight will then stay dry and largely clear as well, with just the odd light patch of cloud around. It's going to be staying breezy though. And now the temperature is going to be 13 degrees. The level is going to be 7 degrees. UV level is going to be low and pollution is going to be low as well. Sunset is going to be at 16:13 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:16 hours. So coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Okay, so now we move on straight to the travel updates as well. At 10:51 this morning on the Starr Radio UK Tuesday edition of the morning show. So when it comes to the travel this morning on the underground, I can tell you actually good service throughout. The London Overground is running a good service. DLR and London Tramlink good service there as well. I'm moving on straight to the major roads in London. Apart from the A13 that's got serious delays that I would advise you to avoid, all the others are running good service there. The River Bus is running a good service apart from the Woolwich Rail that's got a reduced service. The London Cable Car good service there. And that brings us straight to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, Avanti West Coast, Cross Country, First Trans-Pennine Express, London North Eastern Railway, Lumo, Merseyrail, Northern Rail, ScotRail, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern Railway, Southern and Thameslink are all running minor delays. Also, Island Line is running a special service. That aside, all the others are running a very good service there. And that is how I would say it once again. Massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your comment for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So we go now to the global trot-in. Well, some of the stories that Yomi is going to be touching on. The Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU has directed its members to join the nationwide strike called by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Unions Congress. After that, the president managed to broker a deal with them so that none of this will continue. But now that's what is happening. In some other stories, over 11.2 million Nigerians living with type 2 diabetes. Now 560,000 with type 1. Patients lament increase in cost of insulin, drugs, tests, and others. Well, we don't cherish our human resources, do we? Okay, now moving on to some other stories as well. It says that the federal government has threatened labor with contempt charge. The NLC Adaman is also saying it's going to be quite an interesting one. But let me bring you more of all that is happening there when it comes to the stories making the rounds from Nigeria this morning. Interesting one, isn't it? Well, so contempt. You remember back in the day, the president was of the view that, well, he brokered a deal with them and therefore they will be seeing to it. But it looks like they decided, look, with everything that is going on, we don't think that we are being treated fairly. And so, what do you think about all that? Okay, so moving on to some other stories as well. Naira slump persists despite 46% rise in dollar turnover. And then that's the Bureau de Change operator who only gave his name as Awolo said, I am buying at 1,110 naira per dollar, but selling at 1,150 per dollar. Okay, so that's what is going on. But the Navy has arrested 6 suspected crude oil thieves in Anambra State as well. And then moving on straight, Buhari's regime looted Nigeria into bankruptcy. No money for Tinubu to run country. NSA Ribadu is saying. Who is he? I will be telling you more about who he is. The same APC said that GEJ bankrupted that's the former president, the former Goodwill Jonathan. Yes? Okay. He said that he bankrupted Nigeria, and now they are saying Buhari bankrupted Nigeria. APP's propaganda is always the same. Well, you want to know more? Keep your dial so logged on Star Radio, okay? And I promise you, I'm going to bring you more of that once I have Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Now, moving on straight to some other stories as well. At least 70 dead, including children, in a massacre in early November. At least 70 people, mostly children and elderly, died in a massacre in north central Burkina Faso in early November. The perpetrators remain unknown. They've not come out to say anything. The opposition boycott and voter skepticism cast shadow on Madagascar's presidential election. Now, if opposition is boycotting it, it's obvious that the incumbent will say that I've won, whether they had majority or whatever. And then, so I don't know whether boycotting of elections, goes a long way. I don't know, but let me know what you think, so that let's say like the Nigerian presidential election that took place, and people don't like what the INEC is doing, and they say, you know what, we've boycotted it. Now it's not like the election has been cancelled. Then somebody goes, the incumbent party, or will go, the president, and then wins. Then when he wins, he say that, you know what, he's going to be there for another 4 years, 5 years, or whatever the tenure is. So if you had gone in, wouldn't you have actually ruffled feathers or stuff like that? Or when you think that the odds are against you and everything that is happening is such that no truth can be told or will be said, then what is the point? I bet that's what some people think. But what do you think about all that? It's all coming away from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay. Oh wow. The noise. Just bear with me. Was it better yesterday? It looks like today is over the top, right? I think today is over the top. We'll see. Mr. Francis Guy is going to be working on that as well. Don't condone indiscipline by security officers. Adib Sani to Kandapa. Kandapa is a military brutalities. Kandapa cautions against comments that will dampen morale of personnel. Now, they are supposed to be protecting citizens or the nation. They go to communities, whatever that happened, and they go beating them up. I mean, there are pictures in front of me, and you ask yourself, because nobody can hold them accountable, they go just behaving. Well. GGSA has concern over Ghana's disaster preparedness, predicting major earthquake soon. The Ghana Geological Survey Authority has expressed concern over the country's disaster preparedness as it warns increased frequency in earth tremors is an indication that the country will soon face a major earthquake. But the question is, those who are living in the earthquake-prone zones, what are they doing about them? Who have put high-rise buildings there? Okay, or story buildings there. All right then, listeners, it's Star Radio UK in Ho or at Ho, Dr. Michael K. Obing has restored worldwide complete over 100 free surgeries in 5 weeks. Okay, US-based Ghanaian surgeon Dr. Michael K. Obing and his team of volunteers with Restore Worldwide Incorporated, the foundation of reconstructive surgery, has successfully completed over 100 free surgeries at the whole teaching hospital. Kudos to them, kudos to them. And caught in Jang's National House of Chiefs over Kede chieftaincy saga is one of the stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. Now moving on straight to other parts of the world. It's 11 o'clock here in London. So now, when it comes to other parts of the world, Biden says our Shifa hospital must be protected as fighting rages on in Gaza. There have been heavy fighting close to the hospital in Gaza City in recent days, with severe fuel shortages affecting treatment. And then in the US, Trump Jr. praises dad's genius in return to stand. The younger Mr. Trump is the first defense witness in the family's civil fraud trial in New York. And Mexico first non-binary magistrate found dead. What happened to him? Okay, a memorial to victims of Stalin vanished in Russia, while plagues marking his rule of terror disappear. The Soviet dictatorship popularity is on the rise. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In other stories here in the UK as well. Now Cameron returns to cabinet table after 7 years. And give toddlers chickenpox jab, advisors tell NHS. Well, would you, if you're a parent and your child virtually needs that, would you allow that to happen, giving them or taking the chickenpox jab? A family identified 1992 murder victim by a flower tattoo. The UK family of Rita Roberts saw her distinctive tattoo in the BBC News report and contacted police. Now, pay rises outstrip inflation by most for 2 years. Okay, we'll be telling you more about that. And NHS is struggling to open emergency winter beds as well. Children working for food delivery apps. Well. I think now there's going to be a crackdown there. And when it comes to the final story from the UK front, well, yesterday there was a reshuffle of cabinet for Rishi Sunak's government, and well, Cameron returns to cabinet table after 7 years. Rishi Sunak says he has a strong and united team as he welcomes new and returning ministers to cabinet. And well, there is a threat. Some are calling him to resign. But what do you think about all that? Lots more we're going to be having a look at. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're going to take a break and take some music. And once we come back, we'll be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining us. So wherever you are, don't turn the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Nehemiah 8 verse 10 says, "For the joy of the Lord is your strength."
This is Starr Radio. UK.
This is my portion today. This is my portion today. The peace of God dwell in my heart. This
Well, this is my portion today. That is a song from Akosia Owusua this morning, and if you are listening to us, but we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki who is joining us all the way from.
I know you think that your dreams and everything that you hope for seem to be late.
Somewhere in Lewisham. As I did tell you earlier on, well, he'll be taking you on a trip, so if he decides to move on to some area so that you can see him, why not? And that's exactly what he's going to be doing this morning.
Feeling down and really stressed.
So I think he just come off the bus, so let's go straight to him and let's see how he is doing. And let me say, Yomi, massive good morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie, and yes, a very good morning to all our viewers around the world, and welcome once again to the hustling and bustling of London. I'll be telling you a little bit more. You're quite right. We're down in Lewisham area, Lewisham High Street. One of the most ethnic, areas that you can think of when you talked about, Croydon. You talked about Peckham, and the next part you should be talking about is also Lewisham. Right opposite, right there, you can see, one of the most important, well-visited restaurant as well, called the Ennis Restaurant. You can see the hustling and bustling, and most importantly, we're right under the shade of the London transport. We talked about yesterday the transportation system in Lagos. There's a lot happening, and I'm going to be switching the camera to the front. And yes, we're still coming to our viewers and listeners right inside the beautiful weather. As they say, the English weather, you can never predict. It wasn't raining up to coming down here. I've traveled all the way from London, Liverpool straight. It's a very busy place, but I can tell you, it is much more busier down here, just as it is busy across the world, but most importantly, across the United Kingdom, because so many activities does happen from here. And if you look at that, it's also telling you talked about the traffic every morning, New Cross, the Dartford. I've gone past the, the Rotherhithe Tunnel, but right opposite right here, you can link straight to the Blackheath. But for now, it is the news coming from Nigeria, and I'm going to return back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Okay, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in Lewisham, where he's reporting live from this morning, showing you some sneak view of what some part of London looks like. But Yomi, interestingly, I mean, when we come to, I remember visiting Nigeria, I've been saying it all the time, and it was during the rainy season. So you have the rains, and then you have some places that are not tarred, the roads are not tarred, and then there is mud and stuff like that. But you are able to go about your duty or whatever you want to be doing, reporting live from wherever you are now. How do you compare the environment to an environment in Nigeria, looking at all the resources that the nation had got in the past and where you were expecting us to be?
Well, we expect, the road network in Nigeria to have been fixed, but unfortunately, it hasn't been, because for many years, it has always been, government promising, citizen, but not fulfilling, some of what they've been promised. And if I can easily show you a little bit snake for you, we have one of our, media that is currently in Nigeria, and she was able to send, as she continued to move from point A to B, she sent in, some videos for me, and I can tell you that the video that I received from her just about 2 days ago, and I'm going to share that. But first and foremost, as you can see there, that is Dr. Chief Sunday was sending a message all the way from Germany. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. But let's first show you, the road network in Nigeria comparing to one in UK. So what you're looking on your screen right now, to those of you who are watching us, let's get that a little bit set properly. So what you're looking right there is the road in Nigeria, and all you want to do now is compare that, to the one in UK, and you can tell that the road has not been fixed. This is a very, very busy highway that is meant to have been fixed, but for reason known, for so many years, as you can see the big pothole, and you can continue to ask the question, how do motor drive in this very bad road, and those driving on this particular road, by the time they come out onto the other side, people are driving one-way traffic towards the upcoming traffic, and this could lead to accident as well. And you can tell that for 63 years, Nigeria failed, to provide, the road network as many would have loved to see it as well.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, where we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki in Lewisham this morning, bringing you all that you need to know from Nigeria this morning, but bringing you a sneak view of what is happening here in London as well, whilst he is en route in Lewisham.
Okay.
Go on.
Yes. Now I was just connecting, one of the airport. The battery needs to run now, but I've already connected the second pair, and we are back again with you.
Okay. Thank you. Now let's go straight to some of the stories that is making the rounds from Nigeria. Now we've talked about the NLC, that is the Nigeria Labour Congress, and the Trade Union Congress. Now I thought that back in the day, the president Tinubu, in coming to office, brokered a deal with them, so we thought it would go for a long while, but it looks like it is all falling apart. And now even the ASU, that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, are also calling their members to join in the strike that is taking place. How big is the strike, and what is the reaction from government as well? Yomi.
Well, the government says that they will be fighting back, the NLC, because there's still a court, that says that the NLC should not, and doesn't have the right to go into what they call any kind of strike as we speak right now. But it seems that the NLC is not listening, to the court contempt, and they've currently given the order from the midnight this morning, to all those workers, to make sure that everywhere is a complete total lockdown. And the most important thing is, as you said, the president, tried everything since Bola Tinubu came into power. He's been working tirelessly, with the NLC, but it seems that, things is still falling apart between the NLC and likewise, the federal government as well. But what we can, say is that as we speak to you right now, most places are completely locked down, airports are locked down. This is having a big impact in the economy that is currently struggling. We've got to remember that the Nigerian economy is currently struggling a lot. And as I said yesterday, we're looking at about almost, a 30% inflation by the end of next month. So the question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the government going to do differently to stabilize the situation between the NLC and the TUC? But like I said to you right now, there is a one-day strike, and that is also because the president of the NLC says that it seems that the federal government hasn't done much to what took place in Imo State after the attack against the NLC president last week.
Okay, so what took place on the as you're saying, the NLC president? What took place there?
Well, the NLC took a protest to Imo State, and it was actually attacked. The members were attacked, but the president of the NLC himself was also attacked, and there hasn't been anyone being penalized for that. So that is one of the reasons why they've gone on this particular strike, this morning, and that is also having a big impact on an economy that is struggling as we speak this morning.
Okay, listeners, Starr Radio UK. Now, you say government is, taking them on for contempt because the court ruled. So if the NLC and as they know that, well, the court have ruled, eventually you cannot go against the ruling of the court, can they?
Well, that is what the federal government is saying. There's a lot of problems as we speak. In a country that has so much issues. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit about that. There with us, as you can tell, there's a lot of security personnel that goes from point A to B, which is what we do here in UK. We make sure that we try to save community. You're quite right. What the federal government is going to do, I don't know yet, but it seems that the federal government is saying that the NLC has no right, as we speak right now, to be heading into what we call a total shutdown of what is happening in the country today. But as we speak right now, the NLC have paralyzed the government right from the airport up to the civil service, and most importantly, most other private sector has been affected as well.
Okay. Now, so if it happens that the government takes them on for contempt, who are they going to arrest? Is it the leadership or?
Well, it has to be the leaders. The government will have to definitely arrest the leader. And I'm sure if that happens, then eventually that will going to lead more to more strike. So I think the federal government will have to find what we call a lasting solution between the two, union. We're talking about the NLC and we're talking about the TUC. And as I said earlier in the broadcast, even the ASU have asked their members to join as well. So that means that there will be more strike if the government do not find what we can call a solution to the current problem between three unions that can paralyze the country as quickly as possible.
But again, still there. What are the requests or what are the demands of the NLC, the TUC? What are their demands?
Well, the demand is that the government needs to work out the modality. Remember that since the president removed the subsidy, that has been a big impact, affected many many of the workers. The NLC expects wages to be increased. The federal government says yes, we're going to do that, but it's only going to last for just almost less than 3 to 6 months. And what we've seen, from what we are hearing, again, I'm just going back to the report in front of me right now, the bans, strains, grounded as Lagos workers joined the strike as well. Affiliated of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria in Lagos State on Tuesday comply with the directives of the two labor unions to embark on a definite nation strike. It's not just a one day, this is an indefinite nation strike. The National Executive Council of the meeting of the labor union held yesterday in Abuja resolved to embark on this strike. The decision, which you just asked me right now, was due to the alleged failure of the federal government to address issues affecting workers such as the minimum wage, the insecurity, the corruption, and most importantly, the poor governance as well. Also, both unions had made some demands in which the government had allegedly failed to address following the recent crisis in Imo State. I talked about that earlier, that resulted in the alleged brutalization of the NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajaro, and other members of the union. So the most important reason that this indefinite strike has go ahead is for the fact that the federal government refused to abide by allowing new changes in the worker salary and also the insecurity that is going on in the country. Once again, I come back again to you in the studio as it is still a very, very heavy rain, as we've been told, across the country today. And as you can tell, umbrellas will be selling at the Lucian Market, which is just about 2 meters away from me. The fire brigade is not too far from there. We continue to talk about, fire safety. I'm sure many of us will remember those that died yesterday at the house in Onslow. We're talking about almost 5 family members, including 3 children. May their soul rest in peace. I come back again to you in the studio. We've seen the fire brigade, we've seen the ambulances, we've seen the police. These are there to make sure that the London Borough of Lewisham is well taken care of. I come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie, as we continue to review the rest of the news headlines from Nigeria this morning.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Just bear with us with the noise in the background. And again, because Yomi is on the move, so at times the sound sounds a bit, but just bear with us. We're doing our best to bring you everything that you need to know wherever you are, bringing the whole world closer to you. Okay, now Yomi, let's move on to the other story that is making the round. I'm looking at a healthy nation that is equivalent to a healthy workforce. But in Nigeria, information that is coming through says that 11.2 million Nigerians are living with type 2 diabetes. Now, out of that, we have another 560,000 with type 1, and the patients lamenting the increase in cost of insulin, drugs, and tests. So virtually, they have been left on their own to cope for themselves. And when we talk about, diabetes, where people will have now amputation and all stuff that is going to be going on, which is not, people don't want to get to that point, and it will bring a heavy toll on governance as well. But Yomi, what do you think there?
Well, you're quite right. Doctors and the patient are now bemoaned with the diabetics that is now an epidemic. We're talking about almost 200% spike on treatment. The cost of treating someone with a diabetes is quite high. It's not just only in Nigeria. We're talking about insulin. We're talking about, so many drugs that are not even affordable in Nigeria, because many Nigerians are struggling, to even have 3 square meals. So the last thing they would have is money for insulin and money for tablet for this. But according to the global community that is marking the World Diabetics Day 2023 today, the high morbidity, mortality, and the scoring cost of treatment, the cost of the treatment is what is killing many people. There's an actor that has now had a leg being amputated. We're talking about, Mr. Ibro. Mr. Ibro is one of the biggest actors when it comes to the Nigerian Nollywood. In the last couple of days, he has struggled, due to medical illness. We don't know exactly what. My cousin was telling me on Friday that it seems that the reason why his leg has been amputated might have to do, with what we call diabetic. The question then is, we try and get image of him right there, and that is the image of the of this particular actor right there.
Oh, okay.
Very popular Nollywood actor.
Yeah.
That is well known in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm sure most Ghanaians, Kenya, South Africa. But I can confirm to you that just under I'm getting another news coming out from the daughter. Mr. Ibro's daughter has hijacked his treatment fund. Actor's wife alleged, but that's another family problem coming there. It seems that amid the health struggle, Nigerian comic actor John Okafor, widely known as Mr. Ibro, is caught in a family feud as his wife Stella Maris Okafor has now accused the adopted daughter Jasmine of hijacking his treatment fund in a viral Instagram video. Well, we know that Mr. Ibro, as at last week, is facing health crisis surfaced a month ago with the wife and the daughter having been the forefront tackling the situation. But it seems that he has actually had his leg amputated. We pray and hope that he will recover as quickly as possible. Coming back now to the other story that we're talking about, which is the diabetics in Nigeria. Many Nigerians are facing this problem because we have not invested in the health sector in the country with a population of 200 million, and that means that many Nigerians today are facing a huge burden that is support. Over 11.2 billion Nigerians live with diabetics, and as I said earlier, 560,000 with one patient lament increase in the cost of insulin, drugs, and also the test. Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean institution, and I'll come back into you in the studio as we continue to give you the headline all the way from Lusham High Street in a very busy Tuesday morning. As you can tell, many workers. There's an hospital not too far from here, which is just about less than 10 minutes away. And the question is, what can the federal government do to support those that are suffering from diabetics?
Well, listen, it's quite an interesting one, a very sad one there, but hey, we'll still go on with it. Now, let's touch on one other story before I let Yomi free to bring you all these other stories making the rounds. And this pertains to bankruptcy of the country going bankrupt. And back in the day, the APC, when they assumed office, said that, well, the Jonathan's government have actually bankrupted the nation. So people were of the view that there were lots of things happening. However, well, now that Buhari is away as well, he hails from the APC. Now some are also saying that Buhari also bankrupted the nation, so there's no money there to do anything. Yomi, tell us more about that.
Well, this morning we woke up with the news of Buhari. Buhari has not been out of the news since he left the government on the May 29th. That's why we saw David Cameron coming back after 6 years. Politicians are never tired. But as we have been saying, it seems that this president has been trying as much as possible to avoid bringing Buhari into the equation. But since the government is struggling to find any kind of support in terms of money that should have been used to build back the economy, well, then we have no other choice as the news this morning filter of the former president Muhammadu Buhari surface again. So many headlines, and this is actually coming from Ribadu. The National Security Agency says President Buhari regime looted Nigeria into bankruptcy. No money for President Bola Tinubu to run the country, and this is coming from Nuru Ribadu. Another headline says Buhari administration bankrupted Nigeria. According to the National Security Agency Ribadu, we are facing a very serious budgetary constraint. It is okay for me to tell you, it is fine for you to know, we have a very serious situation. The question then is, will President Buhari be called by the Senate to account for the 8 years he had in power with some of his cabinet? Remember that we had Jonathan in office. The Zeni flew out of Nigeria to London. He's now been held on here by the National Crime Agency for corruption. His case will be coming back to the Crown Court on the November 25th, 2023. The question is, will this government, apart from Emefiele, start holding many people into the problems of the economy that Buhari ran for 8 years, as we are now being told that the economy Buhari operated for 8 years was a disaster?
Well, he said he was doing his best. But do you think his best was good enough? That's the question that we are asking. But the question is, would the EFCC go after him, after any of his appointees at the time, and the DSS, would they go after them? Because we have information that, the former CBN governor, he was just pursued the moment they left office, and then straight on they went after him. But we don't have any clear reason that he actually, let me put it this way, as Ghanaians would say, chopped any money. But this is the situation. If now they are saying that, there's no money because Buhari's government actually bankrupted the nation, would they be calling them to order, the DSS and the EFCC? Yummy.
Well, we haven't heard from the spokesperson for, the former president, Abashewu. I'm sure he's going to respond. Remember, he did make some response, a little bit. Let's go into the details, from what the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuru said yesterday. He has declared that former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration bankrupted Nigeria in the first official pronouncement of the federal government on the state of the finance of the government. After Buhari's 8-year administration, the nation's top security man affirmed that President Bola Tinubu led a government inherited a bankrupted country. Ribadu, who spoke as the chief of the Defense Intelligence Annual Conference team, leveraging defense diplomacy, regional collaboration for enhanced national security. But are we not going to see Ribadu going after this government? Well, let's hear the comment coming from the of those that are members of the public. According to Baron, the same APC said Jonathan bankrupted Nigeria, and now they're saying Buhari bankrupted Nigeria. APC is a propaganda, is always the same. According to Agbo Sunday, this is what Peter Obi was saying during the election. No excuses. You are there to work, not to give excuses. I want my people to come back in the studio, but you are buying 130 million vehicles for the lawmakers, voted the cabinet, voted the fleet of presidency. Who are we fooling? And the last one from Stephen says, a country that bankrupted cannot afford SUV to all the National Assembly, but yet, for the president, we innovate the villa at 1.5 billion car for the wife, the question goes on and on. The question again is, will the EFCC now call Buhari? As we have seen in UK, in advanced country, president or ex-president are not, especially when they are ex, Buhari doesn't have any more immunity. I think the best thing to do is now for the Senate to call him or the EFCC to bring him for questioning.
Well, would that happen or not? That's the question on the lips of most people, because it looks like in our part of the world, yes, some people are more equal than others. So maybe they are above the law. But what do you think about all that? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, 11:32 the time. It's Olayomi Koiki in Lewisham, where he's bringing you a live feed from Nigeria, bringing you all the updates that you needed to know this morning. So wherever you are, again, let me sincerely apologize for the noise in the background as we are, our technical team are trying to isolate whatever is going on there. So just bear with us whilst we continue to do so. But we'll go to Yomi for the rest of the story that is making the rounds this morning. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, at 11:32, as we've said, the banks, the trains, everything is grounded. The airport, as the Lagos worker, have now also joined the NLC. Also, the driver surrendered to police after crushing a Loma official there. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. Two Loma officials, died, but it seems that the driver has now, surrendered himself for questioning. Federal government meet labor leaders as a nationwide strike began. Remember, this is not just a one-day strike, it's going to be an indefinite strike. The Naira continued to slump, persist despite 46% rise in the dollar turnover as well. It seems that the banks, the schools have now been shut in Kano State as the government suspends qualifying exams. Akwa Ibom plans 10 dialysis centers in the federal constituency is coming from some of the headline as well. Most community in Ogun State are lamenting flooding and now seeking the government intervention. We've seen flooding across the world, as you can see right here this morning. Let's allow the police that is driving very fast with the siren blocking up to go away. Let's take you through some of the other headlines, and then I'm going to come back again to you in the studio, and then we go straight on the social media. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's still very heavy. ASU direct members to join the nationwide strike. According to the Academic Staff Union of the university, has directed its members to join the nationwide strike for the Congress and the trade union as well. We talked about the diabetics. Also, Knox plays for INEC as Biri coast to victory in Bayelsa. Remember that the election that took place in Kogi, Imo State, and Bayelsa concluded, and it seems that some are happy while some are not. NLC TUC ignored court order, began a nationwide strike over the assault on their president. The United Bank, UBA secured 150 million from the Afrexim Bank to ease the Ukraine war effect on the customer as well. Yesterday, a newspaper from Saudi Arabia, where the Arctic air, that took down passengers to Saudi Arabia, about 264, every single one of them visa was now cancelled. Then intervention from the Nigerian embassy, the Nigerian consulate right there eventually led to only 177 returned back to Nigeria. The federal government is now investigating what went wrong in Saudi Arabia, where the visa, that was given to those that are meant to be traveling for the Umrah eventually was cancelled. So the federal government is asking questions this morning, but like I said, that was a very sad situation, as many people would have to return back to, would have to return back to Nigeria. We had about 177 of them return back. So what I'm asking this morning is what went wrong and what can be done, for such, situation not to occur again. Countries have the right, to disallow you from getting into their country at the port of entry. But remember that the President Bola Tinubu was still at Saudi Arabia for a summit. He had his own Umrah, and I'm asking the question, what went wrong as well. But again, Saudi Arabia cancelled the visa of scores of Nigerian passengers after they arrived. It is really unclear why the passenger, most of whom were visiting Saudi Arabia for the letter as airpiece, I think was an airpiece that took them, and was the same airpiece that has now returned the 177, and the only 64 were allowed to continue into the Arab country as well. At 11:37, rain from the London High Street in London, where we are reporting from. I'm just going to go straight to what is happening on the social media. It seems that Buhari is trending, as you can tell. Likewise, Abuja is trending, and the reason why Abuja is trending is because there's a lot happening. NLC TUC at the Wema Bank in Oyo State have also enforced, and I can show you some of the images coming from there as well. That is some of the images that we are being received from Oyo State. So it seems that the workers are responding to the NLC and the TUC. Also, Naira scarcity is biting harder across the country as the banks have limited cash. We talked about this last week, but again, the central bank governor Cardoso says that such is not happening. But I can tell you that it seems such is happening as well. Let me see what more is trending again this morning. Apart from Abuja, we also have Emilio Khan. Remember that Emilio Khan is the phrase that was used by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, telling Nigerians that it's time to rule Nigeria. But it seems that things are not going very well. Yoruba is trending this morning as well. Remember that we talked about Dr. Oloye, Dr. Chisonde Igboho, sent a message from Germany yesterday in the midst of many speculation that he was deported back to Nigeria. But everybody knows that Igboho was not deported. And that is achieved, right there from Germany, sending greetings in our language to many people. Let's see if we can get that again. So that is, Dr. Chisonde Igboho, and like I said this morning as well, Yoruba is trending. Let's see why it's trending before I come back again to you in the studio at 11:39. And it seems that there was a London show that showcased who we are as Yoruba people, and that is why that is trending. It was a London mayor that took place, and let's see if we can bring that up a little bit. All this took place over the weekend. As you can tell there, that is, the London Mayor show is making Yoruba to trend. That is the Oyo, one of the most important, festival called Eyo Festival. And you can tell there, that is the truck that carried that many people. And this all happened in London, I believe, over the weekend as well. This is the Starr Radio UK. I am reporting, and like I said, many Nigerians are still asking the question, would former President Muhammadu Buhari now be called for questioning? Again, time will tell whether he will be called or not. As I come back again to you in the studio, before we wind down from this very beautiful side of London this morning, my name again is Olayomi Koiki, reporting for the Starr Radio UK, and I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes, it's been a wonderful update from Mr. Olayomi Koiki with all the weather and everything, and he's doing very, very well. Yomi, let me say massive thank you. I will just allow you to go into a warm place, a sheltered place, and just have a cup of tea as we normally do. But God willing, tomorrow we will bring you another update from Nigeria. Yomi, let me say thank you, and we'll catch up later.
Bye for now, Mr. Archie.
Bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki reporting live from Lewisham for you this morning. I don't know how he managed to do all that under that particular weather condition. But we do all this because we love you to bits and we want to be part of the program, and that's why we do that, and that is exactly why he has done what he had to do. So now we're going to be taking some music, and then we'll come back and look at some of the other stories. But if you are listening to me, let me say thank you very much. I know that noise in the background is irritating. Me here in the studio putting that headphones on, it is irritating me. But I've told my engineers and my producer to see to it, and they are working on it. It takes a bit of time because you need to isolate all the cables one after the other, but they are working on it. So thank you for bearing up with us. But enjoy this song, and it says "Country Hot." Well, they say Nigeria is broke, but well, Wuta, one Ghanaian musician, free year, he says that "Country Hot." Enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
Hungry man say fix the country, belleful say fix yourself.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Country hot, chale, kala kala. Country hot, hot. Everybody feel the heat, even begin they feel the heat. So we are the pray for change. We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Tell me who be the country, tell me you be the country. Fix yourself. We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Tell me you be the country, tell me you be the country. Fix yourself. What a plenty, the movie fest. What a plenty, the movie fest. You will get to go, plenty go. But we still they borrow they go. To get a job, baby, who you know. We live like cops in a barrel. Shy oh, Babeshi and low. Hey, we say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Hey, tell me who be the country. Now you be the country. Fix yourself. I wanna hear that. Hey, we say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Fix yourself.
All around the world.
Aye. Your minimum wage be hand to mouth. The government know the pay for month. From the same day the king go talk, the bills go come, their rear a bump. Oh, civil servants, then magicians, building mansions after few years. Now who cares about the coffers? And each man living for himself. We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Hey, tell me who be the country, me be the country, and you be the country. Fix yourself. We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Hey, tell me who be the country. Tell me you be the country. Fix yourself. Aye. If you be cheap, you support balance. Say fix yourself. Charlie, Koiki, one Ghana, one corner. Fix yourself. Oh yeah, now. Country. We say fix yourself. Hey, tell me you be the country. Tell me you be the country. Fix yourself. Aye. What a plenty, the movie fest. What a plenty, the movie fest. You will get to go, plenty go. But we still borrow they go.
Radio for the people. Bye.
You know, we live like cops in a barrel. Shy oh, Babeshi and low. Hey, we
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
The bills go come, oh, civil servants, then magicians, building mansions after a few years. Now who cares about the confess? And each man living for himself. We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye, aye, aye. Fix the country. We say fix yourself.
Why we say fix the country, but as they say we should fix ourselves.
Fix yourself.
But I don't think they are fixing anything for us at all.
We say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Aye, aye, aye.
Our leaders. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Fix yourself.
At the time now 11:48 from the hearts of London. And I want you to just keep your dial still logged on Starr Radio UK, even as we go on to have a look at some of the other stories making the rounds from other parts of the world as well. But don't you worry, I'm going to bring you some more tunes during the course of the program. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Again, as I would say, again, just bear with us with the noise in that background.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. My sincere apologies for that noise in the background, as I did say earlier on. I'm doing my best to see if that can be isolated as well. We promise you for sure that we're going to see to that. Okay, so just bear with us whilst we continue with the show. The sound being picked up, but just bear with us. Okay, so it's irritating, isn't it? That I can feel it in my ears. Okay, it's much better here in the studio, but I don't know whether those of you listening to me, it's much better where you are listening to me from. But well, so now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds. Yeah, I think it's still there, but at least for me here in the studio, it's a bit muted. It's lower here. Okay, so let's move on. Whilst the team still continues. Yes, Yomi say there's so much noise, but just bear with us whilst we try to work on that. Okay, so what are we looking at now? Moving on to other parts of Africa as well. In Burkina Faso, at least 70 people are dead, and including children, in a massacre in early November The story says at least 70 people, mostly children and elderly, died in a massacre in north-central Burkina Faso in early November. The perpetrators remain unknown, and the EU and the United States have called for an investigation. Now, according to a provisional report released on Monday by Faso Public Prosecutor Simon Nanu, the killings in the village of Kango on the 5th of November claimed 70 victims, mainly children and the elderly. He added that the perpetrators of the atrocities remain unknown for the moment. On Sunday, the European Union referred to this massacre and a possible death toll of around 100, calling on the authorities in Ouagadougou to shed full light on the matter. In the U.S. government, through Molly Fee, head of the African Affairs at the U.S. State Department, condemned the attack in the strongest sense and called for an investigation. The prosecutor said on Monday that interviewing the relatives of the victims and the injured will make it possible to determine the exact number of dead. A security source said the massacre took place 2 days after fighting between security forces and terrorists. Zango was one of the few villages in the area that had not yet been emptied by the terrorists. Some suspected the inhabitants of collaborating with them, a local citizen said on anonymity. But since 2015, Burkina Faso has been caught up in a spiral of violence attributed to jihadist groups affiliated to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, which has left more than 17,000 civilians and soldiers dead. But it is a sad situation, and I hope that some way, somehow, they are able to resolve this issue that is going on. But just bear with us whilst we continue to bring you all the other stories making the rounds. Those of you joining us online as well, those of you who have joined us on the various platforms, my apologies, or listening to us or watching us live, my sincere apologies for that noise. As I said, the producers are trying their best to isolate that noise there, so bear with us. Okay, good. So now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds this morning. So moving on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds this morning, still on the African continent. At 5 minutes to the top of the hour, Central African Republic, Banjul resident forced to live in flooded homes. How are they? Wearing a pink and yellow shirt, Ngade Guy Jocelyn cannot go about without his paddles. It has been a few days since the father has been forced out. But what do you think about that? Yeah. In Zimbabwe as well, Zimbabwe election campaign, opposition leader kidnapped and found dead. An opposition activist in Zimbabwe has been found dead after being abducted while campaigning ahead of the by-election his party announced on Monday. This is the third incident in recent weeks denounced by Citizens Coalition for Change, the country's largest opposition group, which accuses the ruling ZANU-PF party of conducting a vast campaign of intimidation against its supporters. At the end of October and the beginning of November, the CCC announced that one of its MPs and a former MP had been kidnapped in Harare, tortured and then found dead, naked and wounded in the case of the former, and with his head shaved in the case of the latter. The CCC said on Monday that the body of Tamfumani Masaya, kidnapped in broad daylight by armed men last Saturday in Harare, had been found in the outskirts of the capital. We call on the police to investigate this heinous crime and bring perpetrators to justice, the party said on X. The police confirmed that a body had been found without confirming its identity, which they said had yet to be established. But that is a sad situation that is happening. That is a sad situation that is happening. Entrenching yourself, getting rid, killing them. Oh my, oh my. And we say we are serving our own people. And we say it's a form of democracy. Well, That's why I say that I think this kind of democracy doesn't work for us as a people. So I think there's a need for us to some way, somehow do something to either quell it or do something to what would be the right word to use? What would be the right word to use? But it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Just bear with us. I try to be helping the engineers out by putting some of the faders up and down. So just bear with me whilst they also continue with their quest to do so as well. Okay, every one of them seem to be okay. So let's move on. I don't know whether there's another microphone here that is picking that sound out, but whatever it is, thank you very much for being with me. Now, if you want to join in the conversation, feel free. You can continue to put your comments there as we continue with the program. We'll run up the program once we finish with the stories that is making the rounds, because as I did say, the noise is very irritating, right? In Madagascar, as Madagascar prepares for its presidential election, 6 influential opposition figures, including 2 former presidents, have declared their refusal to participate in the upcoming polls in a joint statement. Now, these opposition leaders announced their decision to boycott the election and called on the Malagasy people to abstain from voting. The move adds further complexity to an already tumultuous political landscape in the island nation. The political tension in Madagascar have been escalating for months. The marked by intense confrontation between the opposition and the incumbent president, Andry Rajoelina, who is seeking re-election at the age of 49. The opposition, comprising 10 candidates, has formed a collective denouncing what they claim is a plot to secure a second term for Rajoelina. In response, they have opted to abstain from the campaign. So that means that you've actually handed the whole thing over to him on a silver platter. Oh, well. This all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now let's move on straight to Ghana as well. We'll look at a couple of stories, then we can move to other parts of the world. As I did say, once we are done with the news updates, we'll just run up the program. A security analyst Adib Sani has advised the Ministry of National Security, of course, the Minister of National Security Kandapa, not to condone acts of indiscipline perpetrated by security officers. This comes on the back of the Minister for National Security, Abel Kandapa, cautioning on commentary about military brutalities in Garu, Tempani, and Bugri, especially from members of parliament, that will hurt feelings of the men in uniform and dampen their morale. Now, briefing parliament about the brutalities visited on the residents of the 3 communities, which eventually led to the death of one, the minister repeated the narrative that some national security operatives were attacked in their enclave. Thus, the operation. Mr. Dapa has therefore cautioned MPs to be circumspect in their utterances. Speaking with the security analyst also cautioned the minister not to make comments that will create some sense of animosity among civilians against security officers. We need to be careful not to rationalize illegality or condone acts of indiscipline perpetrated by security officers. At the same time, we need to also look at the issue holistically from bigger picture. What will make security officers act in that fashion, and what do we do going forward to get them not to do that again? But will they be punished for that? That's the question. It is about impunity. It is about holding people to account. It is about the litany of attacks that they have suffered in the hands of certain militants in that area. So I think the minister is constructing the whole narrative with his moral. But I think this goes beyond moral, Mr. Sani said. He continued, we must be careful about some of these things we do in order not to create some sense of animosity among the people against the security officers. We need to deal with such issues perpetrated by security officers. However, the MP for Timpani, Lydia Lamisi, Akanvariba, on her part, has asked the Minister of National Security to foot the bill of the injured, pay compensation to the victims, and offer a public apology. Would that be? Would they do so? One of the stories or one of the questions that is being asked this morning. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from Ghana, then we move on from there. The Ghana Geological Survey Authority has expressed concerns over the country's disaster preparedness as it warns increased frequency in earth tremors is an indication that the country will soon face a major earthquake. Now, speaking earlier, senior seismologist at the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, Dr. Nicholas Opoku, said there's a need for the country to enhance its preparedness as history tilts towards a major earthquake soon. According to the data released by the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, what yesterday was a minor earthquake of magnitude 3.6, which is not an earthquake that can cause disaster, but what makes it a bit worrying is that these days we have been experiencing these small earthquakes, unlike the past where it will take quite a long time before you experience such occurrence. Now it's becoming more rampant, and that is what we are a bit worried about, and therefore calling for a need for preparedness to ensure that a major earthquake doesn't turn into a disaster. Mostly, if you are having this kind of frequent events, it is a precursor for a major earthquake to happen, and there is a precedence to that effect. Moreover, the last time an earthquake occurred was in 1939, and if you are far from the last earthquake, then what it presupposes is that you are getting a major one. So putting all these contexts, we think that there is a need to prepare. Preparedness is in various forms. Let's work towards response and recovery. At the moment, mitigation is a long-term measure, and it's about making sure that infrastructure is resilient to a major earthquake, since the whole capital city is exposed to an earthquake with its massive infrastructure. Mitigation will be a long-term measure, and so we are recommending that we should dwell more on preparedness, which involves education, sensitization, and preparing for response. Do we do so? Or some will say, oh, you are bringing or you are thinking about evil. We don't have to think about evil, because once we think about evil and we are doing all those things, that means that we are calling for evil to happen to us. But if you look at advanced countries, that is what they do to prepare themselves for such eventualities if or when they do happen, and they are able to actually salvage lots of lives. Though there are natural disasters that you cannot stop. We look at what is happening in Iceland at the moment, but you look at all that and you ask yourself the question, how prepared as a nation are we? How prepared are we? Should that happen in Ghana tomorrow, next week? How prepared are they? Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, the favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now moving on straight to a couple of stories, because as I did say, we're going to bring the program to a close. The U.S. Army has cleared the historical conviction of 110 black soldiers. The U.S. Army has overturned conviction of 110 black soldiers who were arrested after the 1917 Houston riots. A military review found the soldiers were not given fair trial and were wrongly treated because of their race. Now, records will now be reclassified to characterize their military services as honorable. The riots took place after months of racial provocation against members of the regiment known as the Buffalo Soldiers. By setting aside their conviction and granting honorable discharges, the Army is acknowledging past mistakes and setting the record straight. The Secretary of the Army, Christine Wormuth, said in a statement on Monday. The 3rd Battalion, 24th Infantry Regiment, was one of the 4 regiments of all black servicemen, also known as the Buffalo Soldiers, a nickname dating back to the 1860s. The Houston riots took place on the 23rd of August 1917 after months of racial tensions, including the violent arrest and assault of 2 black soldiers. Amid rumors of additional threats to the soldiers from a white mob, a group of armed black soldiers assembled in the Texas city where clashes erupted. 19 people died in the violence, including civilians. The army convicted 110 soldiers from the regiment on charges including disobedience of lawful orders, mutiny, and assault with intent to commit murder. Ultimately, 19 soldiers were executed, including 13 who were executed in secrecy within a day of being sentenced. Others were sentenced to life behind bars. Historians say the process was characterized by numerous irregularities, the army said. It remains the largest mass execution of American soldiers by the U.S. Army. In October 2020 and December 2020 and December 2021, the army received petitions from retired general officers requesting clemency for all the soldiers. Under Secretary of the Army Gabe Camarillo said, "We cannot change the past. However, this decision provides the army and the American people an opportunity to learn from these difficult moments in our history." The army has said relatives of the soldiers may be entitled to compensation. Yes, they do. They are entitled for that, to that. But it's a very sad thing that happened back in the day. Now in Russia as well, memorial to victims of Stalinist repression in Russia are disappearing or being vandalized amid increasing attempts to rehabilitate the Soviet dictator. For the past 9 years, more than 700 plaques have been put up in Russia and elsewhere, commemorating the final residences of people who died in Stalin's purge in the 1930s. Since May, however, dozens have disappeared in several Russian cities, according to Oksana Matvskaya, who is part of the plaque project Posledny Adra, that's last address. Police are not investigating the issues, and Ms. Matvskaya believes this is no coincidence. The memory of the Soviet terror challenges the concept of the state always being right and is therefore inconvenient for the Russian authorities, especially following the invasion of Ukraine. Well, they say they are always right. That's government. They say they are always right. Okay. One of the men convicted of the 2006 murder of Russian journalist Anna Politkovskaya has been pardoned after fighting in Ukraine. His lawyer says Sergei Kadiskrabanov, a former Moscow police officer, was jailed for 20 years at a trial in 2014. But his lawyer Alexei Mikhailchik said he had now received a presidential pardon after completing a 6-month military contract. He was one of the 5 people convicted of the crime. Ms. Politkovskaya, an investigative reporter and vocal critic of Russia war in Chechnya, was shot in a lift in her block of flats. Well, he's been discharged, so he goes scot-free. Whatever the family, so he served in the Ukraine war, so he's done his bit, right? Interesting. Listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I did say, I sincerely apologize for that noise. It's very irritating, but just bear with me as I run up the program now. Now, David Cameron has returned to the cabinet table for the first time in more than 7 years on Tuesday after his recall to government. Rishi Sunak met his new cabinet after a dramatic overhaul on Monday saw a former prime minister return to the frontline politics. He replaces James Cleverly, who was moved to be Home Secretary to take over from Zuela Braverman. Mrs. Braverman was sacked following a criticism of Metropolitan Police. Now greeting his new set of ministers, the Prime Minister said, a warm welcome to those of whom is their first cabinet, and also a welcome to those of whom it may not be their first time. He added that it will be an important week ahead with new inflation figures and the court's decision on the government Rwanda policy expected on Wednesday. Lord Cameron, as he is now known, of his appointment to the House of Lords on Monday, had been out of Parliament since he stood down as Prime Minister in 2016. His return to politics came out of the blue, with Downing Street managing to prevent any rumors of the opportunity from leaking, despite the fact that the job offer was made last week. Okay, maybe that's why somebody said that a week in politics is a very, very long time, when a person was being questioned about the former Home Secretary Zuela Braverman. Okay, listeners, I think this is where I have to bring the program to a close for today, because with that noise in the background, my producers want us to end it, and then we can sort it out. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed. Yesterday they dealt with it for a long time, they couldn't, but maybe today they will have the strength to be able to do so. But I bring you this song from Stephen Marley, even as we end the program, and it says what? The Babylon system. The Babylon system. Would it work for us? Will it help us out? Somebody will say no. But what do you think? Bye bye for now. It's me, Archie, and I say have a top of the day and see you all tomorrow. But remember, this afternoon exactly at 1:30, BB Clement is going to be here on BB Means Business. And to all of you on the various platforms, I say have a wonderful day and bye bye for now.
What you wanted us to be. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
We are what we
all
are.
around the world. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
You are listening to